Hello, screenwriters. We are back for another episode of Watch Me Write. Every week, I write 5 pages for my first screenplay. Then I discuss the previous 5 pages. This week, we're going to talk about pages 51 through 55. Detective Wallace and Andrew are now out on the streets looking for anyone who has information about Damien's murder. They come across Butcher. Just a reminder who Butcher is. Butcher is a character we met previously. Butcher is an entrepreneur, as she was like to say. She provides drugs to the neighborhood drug dealers. Butcher is also a colleague of Rick. If you remember Rick was the one that Damien sold bogus drugs to. While talking, the detectives question Butcher. She don't want to say anything. She's also carrying a backpack full of illegal substance. The detectives threaten to take the backpack away and take her to jail. She doesn't provide some information. She drops Rick's name. And right away, she tells them that Rick and Damien had a falling out because Damien sold Rick some bogus drugs. From that information, the detectives now have Rick on their radar. Right after the detectives finish talking to Butcher, we jump straight into Rick having a get-together with some friends. He's laughing, drinking, having a good time, when one of the friends mentions that the streets are talking. And what the streets are talking about is that Rick possibly has something to do with Damien's murder. Rick, the party stops. Rick is very nervous because the worst thing that could happen to you on the street is not the cops thinking you murdered someone, is the streets thinking you murdered someone, especially if it's a heavy hitter like Damien. One thing I didn't want you guys to forget is that Kafella still has a goal. His dream is to eventually open up a computer repair shop in Brooklyn. If you remember in the first couple of pages, he was at this empty building. He was looking at this particular storefront to lease. He was telling Sherry about it. He was so excited. So we jump back into the same place. Now he's with Pops. Pops is talking with the owner. They're talking about possibly leasing the place. Pops is excited. Kafella, however, he has other things on his mind. There's a murder investigation going on where he might possibly be a suspect. He also has problems with Sherry. So he's not too focused at the dream at hand. Instead, he starts drifting into a flashback. The flashback Kafella drifts to is where young Jamal, young Kafella, and Pops are moving from where they were before to Brooklyn. Pops had to downsize. As a result, they had to move to a part of Brooklyn that's not so nice. Jamal's not happy with the move. Jamal says something that upsets Pops, and bam, Pops just like smacks him. Jamal is shocked. We again see the dynamic between the three while they're in the car driving. Jamal always feels that Kafella is Pops' favorite. I dropped a nice little Easter egg during the moving trip with Jamal, Pops, and Kafella. I want to see if you can spot this Easter egg. The Easter egg has a connection with the same night that Damien was murdered. If you go back to that night where Damien got murdered and read that scene, you'll see the little Easter egg that I dropped during the flashback of Jamal, Pops, and Kafella in the car. Let's talk about flashbacks. So Lost in Brooklyn was the first screenplay that I've ever written. As a result, I used to use flashbacks a lot. So I do have a lot of flashbacks in this screenplay. I hope my readers forgive me for using too many flashbacks. Now, since I've been writing for years, I think I'm much stronger where I don't need to rely on flashbacks to explain story or character. Flashbacks, though, could be a great tool. It's just that you have to make sure you know how to use them right. That is it for pages 51 through 55. Next up are pages 56 through 60. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you love screenwriting. If you think about writing your first screenplay, go to your favorite app store, download Stratword. Fade out.